So I want to welcome all of you to this Freedom House Summit. My name is Kara Brenton. I am the founder of Freedom House Publishing Co., which is a publishing house that is dedicated to changing the world and putting forth books that actually change people's lives. So it is my deepest honor that I was able to work with Wendy on her book and then help her publish this book. So Wendy, I'm so excited for you. Your book became a bestseller right away. It's done so well. It's changing so many people's lives. Why don't you just welcome everyone here? These are your friends, maybe people you don't know, but maybe show them your book and talk just a little bit about the name of it.
I didn't even get my book out.
Do you want to go get it? Go get it.
Okay.
And I'll talk to everyone about it.
Let's have a book summit, but don't bring your book. It's in my heart. Does that matter?
It is. It's in your heart.
Hey,
go get the real thing, though.
It's a good thing that I actually have, like, sometimes I'll have pajamas on the bottom. So it's a good thing I don't have my pajamas on today.
That would have made this even better, though. So for all of you who are here, here is how our Freedom House Summits go. One, I'm going to just really let Wendy take the stage, show us her beautiful book. Oh, look at that cover.
Can you guys see? There's a window out front, so it's kind of shiny.
Truth and Dare, daring to live a world. Wait, can you read it to me?
Truth and Dare, daring to live your truth in a fake world.
So good. So good. So let's talk about this, Wendy. Let's talk about your journey. And I want to just kind of go in deep and have some questions for you. And then I'm going to open it up for anyone who's here to, if they have questions for you, they can put it in the chat or they can raise their hand and actually just share the question, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. I really want this to be an interactive, like so much more than just like listening to me and Wendy. I want everyone here to be able to participate. That's why these summits are so transformational. So Wendy, why don't you share a little bit about how this book first came to you? How did you know you had to write this book?
You bet. It really was a few years ago as I was emerging from the darkest phase of my life, the one where I literally almost physically died, starting to emerge and discover that inner voice that really I was listening to all of the external voices, all of the reasons why I needed to follow this way or that way, or to do myself to happiness, to joy, to connection, right? That I actually had the name of this book emerge to me probably about 4 years ago. And it wasn't until this year that I just knew that it was time. It was go time. It was go time, but I didn't know how to do it. I knew that I needed some help, and that's where you came in. But really, honestly, the book has been a lifetime of my experiences. Every single one of the chapters is a truth about a different discovery that unfolded as I went inward. And as I started to really understand and honor and have faith and trust in that inner voice that has always been there, but has been blinded by the things that I was doing for external validation, for understanding by looking outward for the answers. And because I'm a really good doer, like I am a producer. I was born into a family of producers. I was born into this family that was celebrated production and getting things done. And guess what? This girl's really good at getting shiz done. I get things done. And so I got all my value from getting things done. And so my affirmations, my love language is words of affirmation. So I would get things done and love me some good, like, oh, Wendy, you're so great. You did so much. That's so fantastic. And I lived life like that for a long time. And so it wasn't until my body literally forced me to stop the madness, to stop the doing, to stop the frenzy and the hustle and the proving for my worth, that I started to go in. When I physically couldn't keep going, I went within. Thank you for that health crisis. Thank you, universe, for that health crisis. It was the hardest thing, the most challenging thing. I don't choose to repeat it, but I respect it. I respect it and I love it. And I honor what it brought into my world. I honor what it did for my heart, because it allowed me to go within and start to trust that voice, start to actually hear it, because I couldn't hear it in the clutter. I couldn't hear it with all the doing. And so coming within and starting to unfold and unbury and peel layers off of the old stories, beliefs, and programs that buried the ability to shine and listen and love and have clarity. All of those things came as I started to unpeel the layers. So that is the book in a nutshell, is really that process. And I share some of my most vulnerable stories that I never thought I would share outside of my own walls of my home. But I did it because I knew it might possibly change someone else's life.
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love your book. I love the energy that you bring forward with your book. What is your deepest desire that if everybody could get one thing from their book, and we know everyone's going to get their own thing because everything is going to speak differently to everyone, but if you had the deepest desire, what would it be that everyone walks away from after reading your book?
My deepest desire is for them to start to become intimately aware with themselves, that they are literally creators of massive amounts of good and beauty, that they themselves don't need to rely on anything else for that happiness, that joy, that peace that they are searching for with all the things that they're doing and all the things that they're creating, that it really resides from that inner space of knowing, that inner space that is within all of us, no matter what we are, no matter where we live, no matter what religion we are in, that it is with all of us. And that's what I desire, is for them. I literally want to just hold their hand and walk them back home to their heart. That's really what I want to do. And sometimes it just starts with awareness. In fact, usually it starts with awareness. So sometimes if we're at the very beginning steps of this, sometimes I actually had a woman come up to me with tears in her eyes and say, I don't know where to start. And I said, are you aware of the fact of it is you're aware. It starts with awareness. It starts with the fact that you know that there can be something different. That's where it starts. Then we start to work towards that. We have radical compassion and forgiveness along the way, but we start with that.
I love that. I want everyone here, as we're listening to Wendy, I would love, Wendy, I would love for you to maybe, I mean, we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I know you just, you fly with me. I feel like we get to walk them through something. So maybe it's like you walk through a few of the things that you taught in the book, where right here, right now, everybody who's on the summit, watching live or later, can wake up their own inner truth in some way. Like, I feel like if you look at all the chapters in your book, there's probably one tool that we could actually put into real life right now. What do you think?
Okay. I would love that. And I'm just kind of really diving deep into what one tool I feel. Okay, I got the tool.
Awesome.
So what I would invite everyone to do, the biggest thing that I would invite you to do is to start to listen to that inner voice. Maybe you have buried it for so long, you don't know what that feels like. You don't know what it looks like. You don't know what it sounds like, right? And so you're like, okay, there's that. There's this intuition, and all of us get it sometimes. And sometimes we listen, and sometimes we don't. But that's where we begin with. We begin with how our body feels when something is light and open and expansive, and when something feels constrictive. So I would invite you to take out your list of to-dos. Okay, the things that we think that we have to do, that we have to accomplish, that we need to have done every single day. And start with that. Start to unpack and unfold what we think we have to do on any given day. Because how many of you, the ones that have your faces showing, and I would love to see all your faces, by the way. I know that some of you are driving, so be careful. So don't do that. But I would love to see your video. But by show of hands, or you guys can like put the little, raise your hand thing. How many of you feel like you're always going, that you're always doing? How many of you feel that way? How many feel like, wow, I'm constantly in motion. I'm constantly moving. And so yeah, it is a way of our being in life. And in fact, in America, we celebrate that, right? How many of you meet someone for you haven't seen for a while and you're like, how are you doing? And how many of them say, I am so busy? Like, it's like this badge of honor, right? Like, what is that? What is I'm so busy. I'm so needed that and that's what it really is I'm needed. I'm valued. I serve a purpose in this world. And because you need me and I'm so busy, now I feel I'm okay, right? So the busier I am, the more things I get done, the better I feel about myself. So let's really dissect this. Let's start looking at your to-do list. And then we don't start with the ones that we go, well, of course we have to do that. We have to do laundry. We have to eat. We have to make meals. We have to do all of these things. We don't start with that because we can go there later, but we start with the extra stuff like, no, well, my child has piano lessons and dance lessons. And then, my son has hockey and this and that and the other. We have like 20 different things on our plate, right? We start with that and we start to, and with us, oh, and we got to volunteer at PTA and then in my church callings and la, 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 la. We start with one thing. We look at it, the one that feels heavy. That's what we're going for. What feels heavy? And when I feel heaviness, I feel it in my gut. I feel it. I just feel restricted, right? Some of you guys can maybe share what you're like in the chat box. What do you feel when you're heavy? How do you feel when you feel restricted? Do you get confused? Do you have lots of things racing through your head? Like, what do you feel? That's your intuition and your soul and your spirit and your heart telling you that it's really not in alignment with you. My body feels lethargic. It feels tired. I oftentimes get confused. I can't think. I have no clarity. Like, it is just too much. There's too much distraction, right? So when I get very clear on something, I look at the to-do list, maybe I hone in on one thing. I go, oh, every time I take my child to piano, I can't stand it. They give me all sorts of chaos. They're in the car. They don't want to go. I don't want to go. Let's look at that. Why do we need to take why should, and it's the should. Why should we take our child to piano? And let's really get clear with that. Well, I want my child to be able to have these skills later on in life. Okay, well, why do you want that? Well, I want them to be productive and good individuals and they have lots of skills and things like that, well balanced. Okay, well, why do we want that? And if you go down the pipeline long enough, you will start to see this unfolding that it really comes back to you. A lot of times it's, I want to be a good mom. Okay, well, why do you want to be a good mom? Well, because that's the most important thing to me. Well, why is it the most important thing to you? We get to this layer of, I want to feel value and I don't feel worthy. So I want to make sure all of these other people are happy and safe and productive and have good lives because I don't feel safe. I don't feel valued. I don't feel like I am worthy. And we get to that space and we start to look at it and go, is it possible that I can come back to myself and love myself through this and be okay with the process of unfolding this? And could I release myself from expectation of piano lessons and release it unless my child just really loves it, really desires it, really wants it? Is it possible that I could let that go? Is it possible that really this is restrictive? My body is telling me it's not for my soul and my spirit. Why am I holding on to it? Why do I have to do this? So we start with that. I think that is one of the best tools that we can do right now in this busy, cluttered world, is to get real with ourselves on why we are doing things and then allow ourselves to either morph into what else is possible. Maybe we could still do this, but in a different way. Or can I release this? Am I allowing myself to release this and come back home to myself and honor that restriction that has been telling me for a long time that it's not consistent with who I am anymore. This isn't serving me and it's not serving the person that I actually love. So that would be probably the tool I would offer right now.
I love that. I love it. And I would love to open up to our beautiful audience here. If you guys have questions for Wendy around this or around her book, maybe you've been reading her book, maybe you just got her book, or you just want to tell her how much you love her book, this would be a time for us to actually jump in and share. So I see some familiar faces, but if I can't see you, just unmute. And I'd love for you to, you can either put it in the chat or you can actually just share it on your video. So you can ask your questions around what we just talked about or anything regarding the book. This part's always a little scary for some people. All right, here we go. Yes, Holly.
Okay. I do want to praise you for your book. So if I have time, I want to say that, but I don't want to change the topic in case other people are really into this. I'm kind of looking at, I do a podcast and I'm like, I have to do it every week. And sometimes I put out content and think like, does this really matter? So how do I know the difference between, I feel some restriction and just like, oh, I gotta do that. I gotta. Is that kind of when I would know there might need to be a shift? Because I don't think it needs to end, but I think like maybe it needs to shift. So
Yeah,
do you have any kind of thoughts on that one?
for sure. Your body will never lie. It is a vessel of truth and light. It will never lie. It cannot lie. Okay. And so if we stop trying to shut it down and numb, avoid, and distract from feeling our bodies and what it's trying to tell you, it will tell you. It will share with you the madness of what is happening in your life. And you're exactly right. Especially as entrepreneurs, we're told there's certain systems. You got to post this many times. You got to have a podcast and make sure that it goes weekly and make sure that it does this and and do the audio bite and do this and do that and do the other. And we get into this cycle, and it's another system. It's just like motherhood. There's a system for what it looks like. There's an external system that says you got to do it this way. And if you don't do it this way, you're not successful, right? And that fear of failure comes up all the time. So we start to get in tune and remember what our body feels like when it's open and expansive versus restrictive and heavy. And we honor it and we listen to it, right? There are times where, you know what, actually the best well laid out plans for success are the ones where our heart leads us. And most of the time it never makes sense, right? So you're exactly right. I made the decision last week with some of the things that were happening. I talked to my assistant and said, my body is telling me that the podcast has to wait for this week. And I would love for it to be, I would love to have, my mind and my ego is telling me it has to look like this and it has to be on a weekly basis and it has to come out. Otherwise I don't look professional. Otherwise I'm not being taken seriously. And the other part is saying, sister, you need to clear some of the stuff this week. You're in your highest and best, and this is not. Let it go. Surrender and flow with life. Allow it to take you where you need to go. And what's so interesting is actually it opened up an opportunity that I would not have had time to had I been doing the podcast that was able to unfold to another opportunity. Does that make sense? So you listen to it. You take bold action with that one thing. Now you're forming trust with your body. Your body will continue to give you cues. Hey, and you can ask the question, what more is there? Is there a different way? Is there a different way that I'm not seeing that could allow me to be successful in my business? Because that's what I'm wanting. I want people. I want to make an impact. I want to help as many people as possible. But is there a way to do it that is in flow instead of in hustle? Do we have to do the system? Right? Get out of the system and get into the heart. And your heart will tell you.
I love that because I see it, the external system, like the kind of mother I have to be and the kind of entrepreneur I have to be, and that like bring it back to here, validate in here. And you have so much of that in your book, and I could go on, but it looks like there might be something in the chat, but like your book is full. You just drop so many wisdom bombs over and over and again in your book, and you're easy to connect to. You validate the things I've been through. You're so candid and authentic in the way that you speak, in my mind, in your book. And it's insightful, articulate. I have a whole review I could do. So I will save it for later to give other people chances, but I just love you.
Thank you. Holly, thank you. I received that.
Does anyone else have any questions? First of all, Holly, we love you. I love you, Holly. And yes, like so much wisdom here. And I love what you just shared, Wendy, about listening to the heart, because it really answers for everyone, right? Like we had people in here talking about what it was like as a mom, and, you know, and some people feel like, oh, I feel like I'm at gunpoint, like I don't get to choose. And like, that's how it can feel in entrepreneurship. That's how it can feel in a lot of different spaces. And you really clear it up by bringing it back into the heart. So I just love that you talk about that. Yeah, Holly.
Okay, so I wrote down that to me, your book has been like a scripture set that I can go back to and keep learning. Like this is something I actually want to go back and read. Like I have a different set of scriptures and I'm just like, gag me, this is boring. And I have to really dig to try and find things. Whereas this is like a reminder and I can flip to, okay, I want to learn about my body today. Like I've got highlights in here. I don't highlight books very much because I'm like, maybe I'll give this to a friend. I highlighted your book. This is mine. It's like staying here and I wrote in it and I love that I can go back to it and learn that again and learn it deeper. Because I have a concern like, oh, knowledge is gonna slip away from me. Your book is jam-packed with it. And I feel like your podcast, everything you do is just gobs of knowledge and golden nuggets raining down all the time. So I appreciate that. And this is my book for life.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's so beautiful. Thank you, Holly, for sharing. Angel popped in and she had her hand up for, she messaged me. So Angel, why don't you pop in?
Hi. Hello. So good to see you. Oh, I am enjoying getting ready each day to Wendy's book on Audible and just feeling like I have her with me. And even one night, as I was starting the book, Wendy, I just curled up in bed as I was hearing your story. I literally just felt the energy of it. And when you were talking about your health issues, I put my heating pad on and I got my minky and I curled up in the fetal position and I thought, this is so cool. It's like I'm just laying here snuggling going, I get it. I get it. I get it. One of the things that I've appreciated from your book is watching your journey to truth and seeing parallels. It's fascinating to me that you can have similar thoughts and experiences and spiritual downloads that I've had and I've watched others have. And just appreciating listening to Holly's comments too brought up a lot of points for me that I was appreciating, Wendy. But one of the things I wanted to ask you is you share some deeply personal things in the book. What was your process? How do you get over all of the fears? Because I think this relates to a lot of us in what our soul's calling us to do in this world, whatever that is. Showing up in a relationship in a way that your heart's telling you to show up, but you're afraid it might end the relationship, or parenting the way that you want to parent, or just all these different places. And there's a commitment and a courage that you have taken in order to publicly share some of the most vulnerable parts of your life. And I'm just wondering if you would share with us what you had to overcome. There's a big part of the ego and the fear of being judged and reputation and things in order to write about that and to put it out publicly and to even stop judging yourself. So I just would love to see that part of your heart.
Wow. Thank you, Angel, for asking that question. There was definitely a process, a dark night of the soul to get there, right? There was this opening of, I really felt like God said, if you will put your story out into the light, I will dismantle the guilt, the shame, the blame, all of the things. Because something that's hidden, when we will dig deep and we will pull it out, it's called shadow work. Some of you were asking what shadow work is. The pieces and the parts and the stories that we've created that we feel restrictive and we feel like we have to hide them, when we can pull them out and put them into the light will dismantle them. It cannot hide anymore. There is no shame. Shame cannot exist in the light. And I knew it would liberate myself, and it would also give permission for others to get vulnerable vulnerable and to be brave enough to put their own stories out there and to look at them and say, you know what? All of us are absolutely guiltless. We're absolutely guiltless. And when I put it out there, I can see that was just an experience. That was just a part of me. I don't need to be attached to the guilt and the shame and the blame and all the things that are holding me back from discovering my truth. When I put it out and I share it, it was actually liberating for me. And I hope that it gives permission to others to invite them to do the same thing. Because when we can get real and be absolutely okay with our journey, every part of our journey, every part of who we are, and we can sit with the uncomfortableness of being with that part of ourselves, we can start to unlayer and start to discover that we were never broken to begin with. It was just the stories that blanketed the truth of that other people around us have told us we are broken. New year, new me. Well, what about if we were always this beautiful, amazing version of ourselves? It's only been us that has shadowed that from the way that we perceived life and all the things that we've told ourselves, all the experiences that we've had and all the stories. And I was ready to go there. I wanted those stories to be put out into the light so that I could be set free. And I'm going to tell you, Angel, I was sitting in my hot tub 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, and I'm looking up at the stars and the beautiful full moon that we had with my spouse. And I said, I've never felt so free in my whole life. I've never felt so free. And it's because I'm not attached to those stories anymore. I'm not attached to all the things that held me down. And that's what happens when you discover your truth. And I always end every single one of my podcasts with Satnam. Truth is within me, and truth is my identity. And when we remember our truth, which is the truth and dare, are we daring to get to the truth? Are we daring to go there? And when we're willing to go there and be courageous and go through the shadows of the things we don't want to see and the things we don't want others to see, it will liberate us and literally get us to our truth and allow us to have all the things that we've been looking for outside of ourselves. So this has been the most healing thing that I've ever experienced in my life. I have worked with mentors. I have gone to counseling. I have done all the things, energy work. And I'm going to tell you that sharing my story and visiting my story has been the single most liberating thing that I've ever done. And then, Kira, you've seen me go from where I was before to where I am now. I'm the same divine being, but a different human being, right?
Yes, 100%. I want to speak to, not every author do I get to work with. There's a lot of authors that we publish and I don't work with them. I was lucky to work with you in my mastermind for 6 months, and I fell in love with your heart and that you could bring creations to life. So whatever you were inspired to do, you did. You didn't wait on it. You didn't tuck it away. You didn't just say, well, that's like a really good idea. You brought it to life. You wrote this book in 4 months. And in the middle of writing the book, you had a vision to create a YouTube video that was going to change millions of lives. And it wasn't like you took your phone and made a video in your bedroom. You hired a full team. You hired actors and actresses, and you made such a spectacular visual that told your story in a way that people could feel it. And you did that all while you were in the dark night of writing the book, because writing the book has beautiful pockets of deliciousness, but it's a whole lot of hell. And then you went through it. And now your book is here. And it's like you birthed the book that freed you. And now it frees so many others. And so I just honor you for being who you are and being the one who says yes to the callings. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Kira. And I do receive that as well. And we just talked about all this doing, and then you're like, oh, you did this in 4 months. I want you to understand there's a difference. There's a difference. I was not looking for external validation. I was looking for healing. I was looking to come back to me. And my heart and my soul were pleading with me to be brave, to come back. And so it was like, okay, let's get rid of this shit. This shit is not helping me. Like, it is inhibiting me from seeing the truth and discovering my truth. So everything that, like, that video, I don't know if you guys have seen it. Can someone put in the chat, like, the link?
Yeah, it's
I'm
right.
on it, sister. I'm on it.
Oh, you're good. Thanks, Angel. So it was actually one of my stories, I think it's in chapter 15, the truth about trauma. It's either 15 or 16. It's my story. It's my trauma story. And I was walking through the hills one day and, and I knew I was I was invited to accept the challenge of putting a video to one of my stories, a really short one, 6 minutes, 52 seconds. And it was the story I never wanted to share to begin with. It was the most vulnerable story in this book. And here it is in all its glory to share with the world, my story of sexual trauma and healing through sexual trauma and the liberation of actually taking back my sexual energy and liberating me into a place of finally receiving pleasure. And women, if you are not receiving pleasure, you are not creating in its full breadth of being able to create. If you are feeling like you are in hustle all the time, I saw, Melody, I saw that you were like, oh, I feel like a gun is on my head. And sometimes I feel I'm restricted. My invitation is that you're not feeling pleasure in creation. I want you to think about how a baby is made, that women are actually the receivers and we actually create in pleasure. That's how we're supposed to create. And so this story is about me learning to receive pleasure, me learning to be liberated from the bounds that trauma created around that sexual energy, and for me to finally let it go. And so in 6 minutes and 52 seconds, I share my story. And it is, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I love it. I love it. I say that it took an entire village to make that video, and it was joyful. Anybody that was with me in that video knows how joyful it was. We played, we danced, we celebrated, we loved. We did that video in pleasure. We did. And so I invite you to, when you're doing, yes, you can do, we use our masculine energy to get stuff done, but can we create in pleasure? And if you're not doing that in pleasure, that's where the restriction, that's where the gun upside the head, because you feel like you have to do it because you're proving something, right? And when we move past that, we can start to create, and we do magical things when we create in that. Oh, Angel's got to say something.
Amen.
I can't hold it in. Oh my gosh. So you're hitting on something that could be, I hope it's an epiphany for everybody listening, but especially for the females. How many of you have had an idea, a brilliant idea, and it came with so much commitment and enthusiasm? You started working on it, you started building it. And then at some point there became this feeling that I got to make money doing this. Mm-hmm. Or I have to make enough money to provide for my family doing this. When it switched to like that, it switched into the providing, or if that wasn't your role in the beginning. And have you ever had this? And all of a sudden you're in it and the lifeblood is sucked up from it. Like you become a slave to it. You become enslaved to the doing. Why? Because the doing energy is not I don't think it's our fountain or our spring of living water. I believe the divine feminine energy is creation energy. And when we're in it, and pleasure is directly connected, pleasure of the mind, that it pleasures your mind, that your body is pleasured. When you are stimulated, you're turned on to life. And I believe and experience, and I'm hearing and feeling from you and from your book, the sexual energy, if we'll remove the connotation that the world has given us of sexual energy, and I like to change it to the word sensual because it's not as charged for people, but our sensual energy, things that turn on our senses and stimulate us, it's one energy. It is the life force energy that makes us want to create in flow with grace and ease and abundantly. That is our birthright. I see it in it. I feel it in us. But when we turn to adapting that, trying to fit it into the ways of the world, I have to monetize this. Can I get sponsors for this? How many followers do I have? All of that bullshit. It sucks the life out of us and we get confused. We hit a dead end. We're like, but I had this great idea. You know, we've left the path from inspiration to trying to make it fit into a worldly doing. And so I just wanted to share those feelings because I have done that time and time and time again.
Yes.
And it took me from the moment of awareness of what was happening. It took me 3 years to unravel my addiction to doing, to trying to do my way through life. And I remember that 3-year time period. It was from the awakening of like knowing there's a difference between doing and being. When being in your true energy and connected to yourself and to truth, everything your book is about. Am I living in alignment with truth in each of these different areas? Every chapter of your book is another area to look at and say, am I in alignment with truth? When we're in that alignment with truth, that creative energy just bursts through us like a fountain. It just flows. And when we shift into the ways of the world that say, you have to do it this way, there are 7 skills you have to master. It needs to have a web page that looks like that, you know, all the ways to do it right.
Yes.
That's when we die and we lose the passion for life. And I love that you get this and you model it. And I have the special privilege of working with Wendy on some different things and being around her. And I just want to tell you why I love her is she legitimately lives these things that she teaches. And she is living the shift and she's constantly checking herself and going, am I in alignment with truth? And I just want to honor you and tell you, thank you, Wendy, for that, for being somebody who embodies these shifts that are in your book. They're not just the 5 tips for this or 13 truths about that. Like every single chapter, as I listen to it, I just feel like I'm just cuddled right into your heart going, this is yummy. I know because I see it in action in you. And so thank you.
Wow. You guys, words of affirmation. I'm just drinking it in like I am. But there's a difference. It's not my value, right? But I still love to know that I'm stepping in that place of listening to my inner voice, and it is making an impact on others to listen to theirs, because that's what I'm going for. I want you to experience in its full capacity what your heart is trying to share with you and lead you towards, and that you can enjoy this world. You can create financial abundance, and it doesn't have to look hard. It doesn't have to. In fact, I am a walking testament. When I stood up in June and said, I am no longer letting real estate suck the soul out of me, and I'm trusting with everything, my heart, I am now fast approaching the highest level of income I have ever experienced in my life. And I am loving life. And it's not hard. It's not hard. It's joyful. It's pleasurable. It's amazing. It's like, and do I have challenges? Oh, hell yes. Hell yes. I'm human. I'm supposed to have challenges, but because I'm widening, it's almost like I had that my life was this heap of food on a little tiny salad plate. And now I've expanded it to this great big platter. It's the same stress. It's the same thing there, but now I've widened it. And so life is still challenging, but I can navigate it so much easier than before. And I really believe that the world is awakening to this way of being. How many people are saying, I just want to learn peace. I want to come back to myself. I want to meditate. I want to be mindful. I want to be in the present moment. We're feeling it as a collective. This is not just a Wendy Bunnell thing. This is not just an Angel thing. This is not just a Kira or Holly thing. This is a collective awakening. And this book was just this channeled information from a divine source way greater than myself that said, here are some tools and some ways of being and a different way of perceiving it. And would you like this offering to maybe perhaps start to look at things differently and to start understanding and feeling more joy and experiencing more joy and pleasure and being okay when you have a sad day, being okay when you're angry, being okay with all the emotions, because that's part of your experience too. And just like your body, those are also GPS. Like they are an internal GPS guiding system, right? So that is my desire. And thank you so much. Receiving all of this information. Thank you Thank you for appreciating it. If you don't have a book out there, I kind of like the Audible version myself, just because I don't know, unless you're just I got to have a piece of, I got to have this, but I find the Audible version is, for me, I really like that version, because then you can hear my voice and I can walk with you. So I always like hanging out with Wendy. Come hang out with me.
I love it. I love everything that's happening here. I'm so excited. Carla's got her hands up. So Carla, I'm going to call
Carla. Yes.
and you can pop on in.
Hello.
Unmute for a second. I just have to tell you how much I love you. I'm sitting here with tears streaming down my face because I am so overwhelmed with gratitude and awe at the beautiful relationship that is there, the love that is there, and the amazing woman that you are. An angel. I love listening to both of you. It changed my life, changed my perception. And I being there in that moment when you were just like, I can't do this anymore. The magic of that moment and watching you process the trauma that you were going through, and just, I can't anymore. And then seeing you come to that realization. And I'm so glad you did, because the world needs this version of Wendy. We need you. So thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Love you, sis. I'm just full of gratitude today. Yeah. Didn't realize how emotional I'd be on this call, guys, but just receiving this labor of love touched some people. That's all I wanted. I actually said to God, I said, okay, I'll do this as long as it makes a difference with one person, not realizing that it was this person, right? And then other people are also responding positively, and man, so good. And it's led to other projects and other things. Like this one book just unfolded all these things. Now Angel and I are putting Yin on Fire in September, and you want to hang out with us for 4 days, come and see us. So
this is what's so exciting. And Angel, I'd love for you to put the link in the chat for Yin on Fire, so that those who are here have the opportunity to also come to that. This is why we say yes to the book. This is going to be my little pocket on why we say yes to the book, because you saying yes to the book really was you saying yes to your soul. And when you said yes to your soul and yes to God, all these new pathways opened up. The pathway of your video, and the pathway of your coaching business, and now the pathway of this huge event that you guys are putting on in September. And that is why we don't push away the nudges. And I'm so damn grateful that you didn't, that you said yes, that you didn't just lean in, right? Like, I'm like over that now, leaning in. No, you didn't lean in. You went 2 feet. And it's so different than the doing that we've talked about. You went 2 feet in faith. And 2 feet in faith creates divine action. And divine action is where all the miracles live. And you lived and breathed that, and you still are. So I just really want to honor you for saying yes, and for showing up for yourself, showing up for your book, showing up for all the inspiration that has come to you. I love you. I'm so honored to work with you on your book, publish your book. And I'm so freaking honored to be here with all these beautiful people. So I want, as we close this up, I want you to get into your heart, Wendy. I know I've asked you to share a lot, but you're just brilliant from your magic. Okay. So I want you to drop in your heart, and I want you to feel, what is the message that you want to give everyone here today as they leave? What is it that you would like to share with them?
The message that I would like to share is to take a chance. Take a chance that is it possible that things could be a little different than what it is showing up for you right now? Is it possible that if you listen to this and didn't talk yourself out of it with this, that things could shift so fast and so quick and so boldly in a different direction and in the right direction, okay? Not saying that this right now in your life isn't okay, because a lot of times it is just seeing that it is absolutely, this moment is what you have. This moment is what we forget that heaven is in every single moment, right? So understanding, but is it possible that by trusting and taking bold action, even just one time, that you could start getting good and start practicing and start awakening to that divine source of all knowing inside of you? Is it possible that everything that you've been looking on the outside, and the reason why you feel so cluttered and you have brain fog and you're confused and there's no clarity and your mind is worrying all the time, is because you're so stuck up here and you haven't dropped into here? Is that possible? Is it possible to create in pleasure? Is it possible to have a lighter, more free, expansive way of living? Just answer that question. That's it. That's what I want you to start with. Is it possible to ask yourself that question and start with the awareness that it could be? It could be. Is the possibility there for you? And I want you to know that if you read my book, you will see where I start. There was a time in my life that I didn't want to be here. It was too hard, it was too heavy, and it was too much. And is it possible that I could plant a seed of hope and healing in your heart and your mind? Could we start with that? And could you water it just a minute, just a little bit? Is it possible that you could water it and see what happens? See what starts to grow and expand from that. Start with that. And then as that starts to unfold, maybe you can start planting a few other seeds on your own, right? That's what I ask and desire for you, because the you that the world gets to be blessed with is there, just waiting for you to unpeel the layers of guilt, shame, and blame so that we can be exposed to that inner beauty that has always been there and that we catch glimpses of here and there. But we desire, and does your family deserve that version of you? Do you deserve that version of you? So I just encourage you to have that I just desire to plant this one tiny little seed. I'm going to just plant this little tiny seed, but you've got to water it. So that's what I desire for you.
Yes, 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 yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, everyone, I just want to send you guys so much love. I'm so honored to spend this time with all of you. I'm so honored. Ooh, I'm getting a little choked up. I'm so honored to do this work. I'm so damn lucky to do this work and to help people like you bring books to the world. And I'm so lucky to have worked with you and to watch your seeds grow into this gorgeous, gorgeous garden that people are coming to, and they're taking just so much love from what you've created. So my request is that you never, ever stop doing this, because this is your magic, and this is your light. And I can't wait to see the empire of magic and goodness and gorgeous love that you continue to bring into this world. So I love you all the way down to the tips of my toes. I'm so freaking honored to know you. Everyone here, thank you for being here. Thank you for participating in this call with us. I like to just let everybody drop into their bodies. If you want to just breathe in, we're going to breathe out and just really let ourselves feel, wow, we just went into a pocket of time travel. We all just got to experience this transformation to the bottom of our cells in 45 minutes, right? What? So everyone just honor that normally whatever you would be doing, you chose to be here. You chose to be here, and you chose to be in this conversation, and you choose to shift and change your world. And I just I honor everyone. And then we're going to take a nice breath in, breathing light in through the crown of our heads. We're going to breathe it out, and we're just going to disconnect anybody's energy that maybe we picked up on this call, because it's lots of beautiful energy everywhere, and we like to pick it up like lint. So we're going to give it all back so that you leave this call super clean and clear. Then you're going to breathe one more breath in, and you're going to breathe all the way down to the soles of your feet. We're going to ground you. We're going to ground you in all the truths that you got today, and all the awakenings that you received today, and all the inspiration that you received, letting it land in your body, ground you into who you are, and also create new pathways for you. So take one more final breath in. There we go. All right. Feeling beautiful. Anything you want to say before we close up?
No, I think that this has been a beautiful, beautiful discussion. Kira, thank you from the bottom of my heart for guiding me through this. I don't even know how to say it without just completely, I'm a Cancer, okay? I feel the emotions. I feel them strongly. I feel all the things. So my tears are just beautiful. I actually asked God, I said, when I get to the other side, can I still have my tears? I really like to cry. I just wanted you to know, I love you. I honor you. And this book would not have emerged without your ever loving guidance, prayers. You are a champion. You're a champion of truth.
Thank you. Oh, well, I'm grateful. I received that all. Oh my goodness. Such beauty here. How lucky are we that at 2:24 on a Tuesday afternoon, this is the shit we're doing.
Right?
Yes to that. Yes.
This is my to-do list right here.
All day long.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful people. Have the most magical Tuesday. Grab her book, get a hard copy, Audible, follow along, go to their big event in September. It will not disappoint. It will activate your life in ways you had no idea it could be activated. So much love. So much love. See you later, guys.
Love you all. See ya.
Love you. Bye.